Good morning, everyone. It is Rae from the Teach Better team, and we are live for the Daily Drop-In Show. The Daily Drop-In is a morning show that happens every single morning, Monday through Friday, and we are so fortunate to welcome in guests every single week as we continue to talk shop. We have a good news article today. We have good celebrations for today, so get ready for those holidays. And we also obviously will continue our theme that we've been having all week long, which is simply the opportunity that we all have right now to do a self-check and ensure that we are supporting all of our students. We'll be right back here to get into our show this morning. Please go fill up your coffee. This morning, I'm drinking tea, and we'll get started for the day. Good morning. I'm loving all the comments this morning. People saying that they're getting up, getting a good workout in. I love this. I warned you, friends. I warned you that we had a brand new face with us this morning. I'm so excited for us to continue to join our PLN. Will you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm so excited to get this interview started.
Thank you, Rae. I appreciate it. And to everyone out there, thank you and good morning. Good morning. Well, my name is Hajj Womack, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Innovative School Tools. And our whole point is to help our schools do more for our children, but without the burnout. That's the whole key for us. But just a little bit of background about me. I'm a 20-year veteran educator. I was assistant principal, as well as an instructional coach in Atlanta Public Schools. I did it for 20 years and saw some things and said, hey, let me try to help even more in a different way.
Well, Hajj, I have been connected with you on LinkedIn for a little bit of time, and you just kept popping up like amazing thing after amazing thing. And I'm like, okay, what would be the chances I could get this guy up really early in the morning and interview him on Daily Drop-In? So I so appreciate that you're popping in this morning. We have been joking with our network, the Teach Better family, that this week we are introducing some new faces, getting some new insights, some new passion stories. We cannot wait. So I really, really appreciate you being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So fun. For everybody here, don't forget, obviously, this is a live show if you're catching it as we stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. And don't forget also, if you're watching after the fact on the Teach Better Talk podcast or on the YouTube channel, whatever works for you, we still encourage you to participate. So please feel free to throw your questions, your thoughts, your concerns in our show this morning as we get started. Obviously, it's Tuesday morning. Are you still located in Atlanta now?
Yes, I am. Atlanta, Georgia.
I love Atlanta, Georgia. What's the weather like right now? Because I have to tell you, Chicago weather is not so good right now.
You're absolutely right how cold it is there. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, so I am familiar with the cold there. So I'm definitely there. And I went to University of Michigan for grad school, so I definitely know how cold it can get, right? But as fall weather here is it's cool. It's cool. We do need a little jacket, something like that, but it's all good.
Oh, so good. I have been to Atlanta a few different times. Actually, I brought some students to Atlanta a few different times when I was with my sixth graders. And I have to tell you, I just have a soft spot for that area. What a beautiful city. Amazing things going on. I mean, who doesn't love a good aquarium?
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have to get to Chicago, though. I haven't been there since I was a little kid. So I got to come and see. I love museums, things of that nature. So, hey, I would love to see it.
I love it. We can show you around. That'd be so easy.
Exactly. And I heard the taste of Chicago is awesome.
Oh, there's nothing like the good food here. So your journey, you said you were in St. Louis, you went to Michigan, now you're in Atlanta. How'd you get some education?
Oh, well, first off, I'm from a family of educators. My grandmother was an educator, my mom, my sister, my brother-in-law, myself, my wife. So we're all educators.
Is it like it's just in the water?
That's just in the water. It's in the genes, right? So educator, but that's not my initial route. I was actually going to try to go into do business, go into business field, things of that nature. Once I arrived at Morehouse, that was my major, but fell in love with history. And I said, "Oh, I can actually make money doing this." Okay, so therefore I said, "Oh, let's teach it. Let's teach it." So I wanted to. I went to grad school in Michigan, where I have my master's in history of Michigan, and from there said, "Let me teach public school." One, I had my daughter, so I said, let me stop grad school right now. Let's get there and try to make sure there she's okay, right? So that's how I fell into public school, because I originally wanted to be a professor. And my whole purpose is to make everyone love history like I do. So that's what the whole goal was. So that's how I went about my teaching, is to make it passionate, make everybody feel it and love it like I do.
I think history is okay, so I have a lot of subjects I'm not good at. History might be at the top, or it's like second to reading. But
Mm,
there's a lot of reading in history. So I think I
yes.
struggled to love history. And now as I've gotten older, I've realized, holy cow, this is one of the most important subjects for us to be aware of.
Most important and most interesting if it's taught the way history actually plays out. You know what I mean? It's different if I tell you, well, 1776, this happened. 1777, that happened. And 1778, this happened. That is not interesting for anybody, including me. And I love it. But it's the way we teach it. It's the actual humanization of it, because we let those stories tell the primary sources and things of that nature. You just see the color of life come through.
Yeah. Well, so you get into education. You obviously have this passion for history. I have to tell you, I'm not fully sold, but even just with that small clip that you just gave me right now, I'm more sold than I was before. So maybe I'll become a history buff. But then you do all these things in education. Now with the work that you're doing, what does your day-to-day look like?
Great question. Great question. Well, yes, I definitely love history, and as you can see, all of the books behind me. So yes, definitely love history, but and education, and the process of educating our children is so very important. So my goal, a lot of times, I see and learn just in that process of, and we're always learning until we take our last breath, right? So we're definitely into learning. So I learn about the learning. How can we do this better? Is a focus of mine all throughout, right? And just like, how can we teach history better? So the whole point of my work in as administrator and support is, how can we do this better for our children, so without taking the time that we lose along the way? Because unlike any other field, we don't get that time back. We don't get the break back, that 180 days. Once that day is gone, it is gone. And yet and still we have the tests, we have the grades, we have a life that's in our hands. Excuse me, not life, but lives in our hands, generations of lives in our hands. So we don't have the luxury of losing that time. We don't have the luxury of wasting that time with our kids. So how can we do it better in a way that's more impactful, so that we can change those lives in future generations because of it? So that's what my whole influence and focus on education. So what does that, how does that translate into my life now? Well, basically, I built a platform called Teachers in Touch. My co-founder and I built a platform called Teachers in Touch, which is all about optimizing old workflows. Let me back up. How many of us got into teaching to do paperwork? But can I see a sign of hands? Can I see it in the chat? If anybody just said, that's what I did. So, but yet and still, it takes time. How many of us spent time in our planning time working on attendance plans, or working on classroom management, or any of those things, calling parents? How many of us have worked on special education paperwork and documentation and meetings and things of that nature? If you have done that, please put a 1 in the chat. And if you've done that, then how is that taking away your time? How is that? Is that something that you woke up in the morning and say, yes, I'm jumping up and down for joy to do that? And if not, then that's what we're here about, helping and supporting you in that effort, so you can get back to the real core business of teaching and learning. And that's what we do every day, is try to support teachers in that way, support schools and principals in those ways, so that they can spend less time on red tape and paperwork and more on teaching and learning.
Well, I'm excited to dive into that further, because for me, I feel like that led to some of the frustration throughout the day. Is as an educator, right or wrong, this could be a misinterpretation, but for me, it was like, I didn't know that the paperwork would take so much time. I just want to get in with the kids. I just want to get teaching. I want to prep my next lesson. I want to hang stuff from the ceiling. I want to be off in the hallway, goofing off with students, fostering relationships. And so you kind of get in this funk of like, really, all this paperwork, comes with that, and sometimes it's for a good reason. I'm willing to put in the work,
of
and it's
course.
really for the best for the students. But sometimes it does feel like that rigmarole. You get kind of stuck, right?
Absolutely.
And doing work that you're like, is doing this paperwork leading to something that I'm going to see the fruits of my labor for?
Indeed. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rae.
I was going to say, so please tell me what you guys do
Yes.
to foster that.
That due process, I mean, there's due process. It's in our Constitution. It's something that's good that we need to have. I shouldn't just easily say, oh, you're suspended and you lose 10 days of your life, right, of school. So I shouldn't be able to just jump to that extreme, or you're expelled, or things are mislabel you and things of that nature. So due process is definitely important, and it also supports kids. Because some kids may learn in a different way or may learn at a different pace for whatever reason. And we do need to support the children in doing that way. So I'm definitely down with that work. And I do believe that work is good work. However, it is not what I got into and majored in history for. However, it's not what we did middle school education for. So therefore, why am I? That's not something that is draining. It's sapping. We don't see the benefit. It's not like I complete the paperwork and I see the smile on a child's face, right? Or the light bulb go on across on above the child's head when I complete this paperwork. However, it is so essential. So what we do literally is give people to use the platform in a way to where they are maximizing their time. So what normally takes a teacher 5 to 7 minutes each and every call, each and every piece of paperwork for 100 kids, we do it in 2. So those are the types of things that we do.
Okay, wait. Now you just blew my mind, because I am a fan. So it's not so much that you're saying the paperwork isn't the teacher's job, or the teacher shouldn't be doing it. You're saying, I have a skill set and I have a passion. It's not in doing this paperwork. So I'm going to make a program that makes that paperwork easier, faster, more effective, so that my teachers can get back to doing the stuff they really, really like. Not that I'm taking it off their plate. I'm just making it more effective and efficient.
Absolutely. I believe our schools, you're so right, Rae. You hit the nail right on the head. I mean, hey, I need to have you join on my team. So that's wonderful. But you're absolutely right. It is something that's essential. We have to do it. And as administrators, be it from Marzano or whatever book that you're reading, it talks about guaranteed time for learning. How can you guarantee this curriculum, making it viable curriculum? Well, part of that is making sure teachers are able to teach it. Part of it is not just, oh, let's not have as many announcements. Let's minimize transitions. We're doing those, which is very important. It's definitely beneficial. However, every single day, your teachers are going in there and still having to spend some of their planning time, or the whole hour and a half, if they have an hour and a half, because some people don't even have that, right? So if they do that, now guess what? They're spending that time on something else that's not going to directly, so it is indirectly, it's going to help students, but at the same time, it's so draining. It's such a case, but we have to see it as instructional support. That's the other thing we do. I actually work with principals. I was on with another school, and one school, in our way of supporting them, is looking at the data now and looking at it as leading data versus, just being reactionary to the situation. So we bring that data to the fore and say, hey, is this what you want? Does this align to what your goals are for the year? If it does, then great, let's continue it. If not, how do we bridge that gap?
Okay, to me, though, it just sounds like you were a guy that hated paperwork and data. And so you decided to go into only paperwork and data. So none of the rest of us had to suffer. That's what this sounds like.
That's right. Let me do it for you. Let Teachers in Touch do the work so you can teach. Exactly.
Unreal. That's so funny. All right, friends, we're going to head into our brainstorm bank section, where we're going to be able to dive into this content as we continue. Obviously, you know that on Tuesdays, our good news articles and celebrations are our last segment of our Tuesday morning show. So we'll be right back. All right, friends, good morning. Welcome back to Daily Drop-In. We're going to continue this conversation. I'm sorry I'm losing my voice, but I'm going to give you as much energy as I can. As we got started this morning, I think it's so funny, because this segment is all about pausing this morning and truly leaning into our audience and saying, hey, friends, do you need anything? Brainstorm Bake was created as an intentional moment to just ask if our community needed to brainstorm a topic or needed to debate a question. As we created Daily Drop-In back in March of 2020, we didn't know that we would necessarily have a solution or suggestion that would be the answer to your problem. We wanted to make sure, if nothing else, we were here to be the beginning brainstorm component of that journey. And we continue to want to spend that time every single morning here with you, as well as we stream live Monday through Friday for the Daily Drop-In. As we've discussed today, we have a theme this week, and our theme this week is perfect. So for this introduction, it's like we planned this, but it's all about supporting all of our students. And it's really a broad topic intentionally, because we all have an opportunity right now at the end of October to kind of take a pulse. Are we understanding what our students need, and are we taking steps to really reach all of our learners? The discussion yesterday that I had with Jeff was all about ensuring that you're taking some time to ask your students if they're getting what they need, and then how you're going to take steps to respond to those needs can kind of be our focus for the rest of our week. As you reflect on kind of reaching all learners in the work that you're doing right now, how do you think that those two ideas are connected?
Very good point. Very good point. I love the theme. That's a great theme. And I truly believe the best way to support our teachers is to support, the best way to support our students is to support our teachers. That is the best way. They're in there day in, day out, all day, so that's something that is really, really tremendous. So our hats off to our teachers so that they can actually support our students. And as administrators, as a former administrator, I used to say that the most important adult in the building is our teacher. If you're not a teacher, then you're supporting teachers is the whole point of the adults in the building when it comes to instruction. But in order to directly answer your question, how are we ensuring that we're supporting all of our students? Well, a lot of times the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So we reach out to the parent that is the student that is either the most troublesome or the one that's shining the most, right? And just getting all the glow and the shine. But what about that student that is a B student or even an A student, but just maybe an introvert or what have you, right? How are we reaching out to that parent? How are we reaching out? Because supporting that child is also engaging the family and supporting the family. How are you reaching out to that parent and saying, hey, your child did X, Y, and Z today positively? Hey, great job, caught doing good. How are we doing those things to motivate our children to give us even more? Because once you have a motivated learner, then you can teach them anything, and sky is the limit when it comes to student achievement. But how are we doing that? How are we tracking that? Oh, I called Rae, but I did not call Hajj's parents. What is going on? How do we do those things? And that's something that we need to definitely do as the instructors and teachers and administrators in the building, is to see that engaging parents as instructional support for our kids. So those are just some of the things, because you just never know. And especially when you first get a child into the building, just imagine who's the expert of that child at that moment. It's the parent. They know some of the strengths, the weaknesses, what's boring to them or not, what they like to do and what they don't like to do. That information could be used and differentiate your lesson in such a way that it'll be amazing for that child to hear his or her name in the lesson itself, or you pick the topic that that child just loves, is just passionate about. And then they say, oh, I get to jump in and shine at that moment. Imagine that child at that point, engaged and motivated to come to your class.
Well, and you touched on two different topics there that I think are essential for us to dive into. This is such a perfect segue from our discussion yesterday as we continue with this theme, is not only the idea of intentionally taking moments to celebrate students, not just the top 5% and the lower 5%, but the students that are falling throughout the entire, scale in your classroom, but also this option to truly partner with parents, which is essential. Do you have a passion for one of those topics more than the other? Are they so connected that you feel like they just need to continuously be this loop of getting information from parents, learning about the students, reporting it back to the parents, and starting it over again?
I totally think there's a loop, because it was a teacher that saved me. And I wasn't the bottom 5, nor was I the top 5. I was in 6th grade, and Miss Norbert in Lafayette, Louisiana, my 6th grade teacher, saved me. She reached out to me, and she gave me a goal. She said, if you could just stay out of trouble for 2 weeks. So I was a little bad, but not that bad. But so she said, stay out of trouble for 2 weeks. I will move you to my gifted classes. I'm like, okay. So I moved for 2 weeks, but I got in trouble the last day. And it was that teacher, it was Miss Norbert, that still said, you know what, okay, I'll still move you over, and turn my life around. From that moment, straight A student. From that moment, engaged in my own learning. It was that teacher, because she did not forget me, did not lose sight of her kid, me. And therefore, I find it so important that we do that we reach out. And it's because of her that she reached out to my parents and started working with me, and just saw some things that, hey, oh, he needed some help in X, Y, and Z areas, and helped me to get it and brought it to my parents' attention. It was because of that happened. So I totally believe in both of those areas that we have to do it.
Well, so let's focus on that a little more. I think that could be a really wonderful challenge for our Teach Better family. You guys know we love to not only talk shop, but give you a small little challenge for the day that you can keep in the back of your mind as you are juggling 1,000 things throughout your day. What small thing can you do right now to truly take an intentional moment to see a child in your classroom? And that could be pausing for 32 seconds, making eye contact and smiling, right?
Right.
There are so many different layers to this, but to your point, finding those ways to celebrate, whether you're reporting to others or just having that moment with the child, is going to be a step that will support you in reaching that learner more effectively.
Absolutely. And it cuts straight to the chase. It cuts through the minutia. It cuts through all of the problems that child may be facing at that moment, because they love you. They will run through a brick wall for you. And because of that, you can take them anywhere. And it's the same with anything. Yes, take the time to recognize the child. Literally, even if it's something small, even if it's, oh, they were bad 10 minutes ago, but for 5 minutes, they were wonderful. Then right there at that moment, celebrate. A specific praise. I'm not saying a generic praise or I'm gonna make something up. No, specific praise will help that child. And this is research based. This is Eric Jensen's work. This is Hattie's work. This is all of those. This is research based. So I'm not, of course, and also my own experience. It will motivate that child to do what have you. So those are the types of things that we really need to do. And the second thing that you said earlier is having parents as partners. A partner and teammate. I'm not asking that parent to know calculus. I'm not asking that parent to even know the history. I'm asking that parent to support my effort. And how are they able to support the effort if they're only getting a notice once, twice, maybe 3 times a semester? How are we engaging that parent each and every week in a way to help them help me do the work I need for the child? Because I, as the professional, am doing that real work.
So I have a dumb question, but I do promise our network that I'm allowed to ask dumb questions. So
no such thing. No such thing.
This is like sleepy teacher Tuesday morning question that I really am sure it's the silliest thing ever. But for the sake of this challenge that we're giving our network right now, I think this leads in perfectly. Finding an intentional moment today to see a child, to specifically compliment them. That was your phrasing of wanting like that specific intention, which is what my question's about. And then having an opportunity to share that with parents. You're sharing a very specific moment, a specific acknowledgement that then the parent is going to be able to see in their child because it was so personalized. I think sometimes it's hard to come up with that specific compliment or that specific moment with that child. Rather, it's so much easier to just be like, nice job, which is not specific. But it's so much easier to be like, nice work, and really nothing more. So can you give me some tactical tips and tricks? Like, how do I make sure that my comments, my compliments, my data collection and seeing the student acknowledgement is specific?
Oh, awesome question. No, there's no such thing as a dumb question, and that was a great one, in fact.
Let's clarify. There are absolutely dumb questions. I know you say that, but having done this, I think we're on week 11. I'm confident there are.
I hear you. That specific praise is so important, and you're absolutely right. It's easy just to say nice job. But how can a child repeat nice job? How can they do that again so they can continue to get nice job? That is hard to do. So when you're in that moment, And I literally mean be present in that moment, looking at the child or whatever they're doing or saying and say, hey, that was a great comment.
Mm.
Now, it's a nice job if they're in a communication. That's a nice job. But whatever sparked you to say nice job, what was that specific thing that said nice job? What was it? And if you can say, oh, he said this, then there it is. That's all you have to do. That's what I'm gonna write. Your child made a great comment today in class discussion.
Okay, so it's not just about building up the child, but as we're talking about reaching all your students, being able to give your students in your classroom as frequently as you can specific feedback that feels good so that they can duplicate it. I love that focus on them being able to reflect back and say, how do I get that compliment again?
Absolutely.
And oh, they need me to do this. Because if you say, oh, just good job, it could be good job on taking notes, good job on staying quiet, good job on writing with a pencil, good job on staying in your seat. It's a lot of factors. And maybe only one of them is the behavior that you want them to duplicate again.
Absolutely. And then they repeat it because it's been positively reinforced. Mm-hmm. And the rule of thumb that research is saying now is that for every one negative feedback, criticism, what have you, we should do at least 3 positive ones. So if you're going to say something negative, a critique, then at least 1 positive. And it's not just for kids, it's for adults as well. There's a whole sandwich philosophy, right? Say something positive, then have the critique, and then end with a positive. It's the same across the board. Well, it's something that we have to just be intentional with our children in doing. Mm-hmm. Well, hey, I like what you did here today. In fact, hey, you did a great job on your multiplication facts today, the 3s and the 5s. But guess what? I need you to work on your 9s and 12s. Okay, I work on those things. Whatever that's it. And then that's what the parent sees. The parents are going to call and say, hey, child, guess what? I got a message from your parents that you did great on the 3s and 5s. Wonderful. Everybody's happy, right? And then when you then later on that week or what have you say, hey, I need you to work on your 9s and 12s, then guess what that parent is saying? Hey, you know your teacher loves you. Let's work on those 9s and 12s this weekend. Then 9s and 12s are worked on in the weekend. And guess what happens on Monday or next week for the quiz? The 9s and 12 are now also in better. So it improves student achievement in that way, as well as build that kid up.
Well, and sometimes having those like little, I don't know what's called them, equations in our heads can help us do it more frequently because we know we're doing it correctly. So as a teacher, if you're thinking right now, Tuesday morning, it's October 26th. Right now it's 6:29 Central Time, 7:29 Eastern Time. And you're thinking through, what small concept can I keep in my brain that I can take from Daily Drop-In to continue to have a successful day and continue to foster a positive learning environment for my students? Okay, I'm going to start with a positive, give some feedback that is going to allow my students to grow, and then I'm going to end with a positive. And that is so, and that idea of giving specific feedback can really allow us those small moments. I mean, how long did it just take you to give that example of a positive, an area of growth and a positive? Like 30 seconds. That's 30 seconds to continue to build relationships with those learners in your classroom.
Absolutely. And you may say, well, that's 30 seconds away from the objective. No. Actually, it is that feedback that's a part of it. That's just a part of, that's that check for understanding to see where they are. And you see it, okay, I'm complimenting that and then giving the growth and then the positive. So it's all a part of actual teaching. If they're not learning, then you're not what? Teaching. So therefore, by giving that praise there is giving it immediately right then. So that's one of the things that then you will notice that disruptions will decrease. And guess what increases? Your time on task. Well, if your time on task increases, then guess what happens with the mastery of the objective? It's accelerated. They actually mastered it. Well, that's because of the work you put in on this end. It gives a major return on your investment.
I love that little challenge for today. That's so, so good. You know, one thing that I always was weary of early in my career was parent conversations. I feel like I went from one end of the spectrum of my career to the other because early on, parents were the death of me. I didn't want to look at them, talk to them, be around them, nothing. They scared the bejeebers out of me. And then I really found an opportunity to transition and say, no. These are some of the best assets that I have in my field. And so as you're talking about communication with parents being an essential component of reaching our students, you know, regardless of what level they're at, I think that's a wonderful reminder as we continue to think about all the things we can do as teachers. Sometimes the things that you can do as teachers is to open the door to have others bring in their insight.
Absolutely. And that's wonderful. And you're so right about that fear, right? I had that same fear, because it's not like when I went to school for the certification side. It's not like I learned that. It's not like they said, "Hey, parent engagement, do it. This is a great thing." That's not what they taught us as far as the middle school strategies. That's not what was in the child development psychology class, right? However, we learned it on the job. And that's where we missed out on so much of an opportunity to gain a partner in the education process so early on, so much less of an uphill battle when we have that partner pushing with us. And I just seen so much success out of it. So I'm like, hey, I embrace it, love it, and say, please come on in.
I do have to say, parents always spooked me. I was always nervous that I was going to get caught in a conversation that I wasn't going to be able to be successful in, which is why I really needed to grow into feeling confident with my work. And I think that some of those small suggestions, like a specific compliment to a student, is then that piece that you can take into that phone call with a parent. I think that is we can all do that, friends. It doesn't need to be some big production. No. I will say though, sometimes the issue with parent communication for me was not only my fear, but it was having time. And it seems like the work that you've chosen to get into in education allows me to not spend so much time on paperwork or other things.
Yes.
And I can then spend the time taking the phone calls, sending the emails, and doing all that. So the work that you're doing is actually giving me the gift of time to foster those relationships more effectively.
Absolutely. Our schools are so inefficient in so many ways, right? Thankfully, we're not still doing the mimeograph sheets and papers and things of that nature, thankfully, right? But we're doing so many other things that are just inefficient that was still 1990s and 1980s, right? Before technology became what it is and so ubiquitous. So we now have these tools and where we're able to do those things in a fast way. But because unlike actually, if it's not documented in our field, if it's not documented, it didn't happen, right? So part of contacting a parent is not just calling a parent and hanging up. It's also the documentation afterwards. Is also then being able to access and locate that documentation later on for a meeting, an SST meeting, or if you do have to fail a child to support that F that you're trying to give, right? Or that they earned. So how quickly does that take? How long does that take if I'm scrolling through my phone, scrolling through my email, scrolling through that app and this app and that app to try to find it? When I can quickly do it all in 1 or 2 minutes. That's what we're trying to do. And what we've done is made it easier in that way. And we made it to where we have some messages that are already there for you that it doesn't, it's not as difficult for you to do and have to remember constantly. So we go ahead and do those things for you. So therefore, when you just say, oh, I saw that good thing, select the parent's number, send. Select the message and send. And it documents automatically for you.
Gosh, I'm such a nerd for efficiency. I'm such a nerd.
You and me both, right?
So if you could give maybe like a challenge or a call to action, a thought, one final piece for our Teach Better community here that's popping in for Daily Drop-In, whether they're here with us live or after the fact listening to this on the podcast, what would be one thing you'd want them to consider?
Awesome. I have 2 things I want you to consider. One, let's contact at least 25% of your parents this week and each and every week. 25% of your parents this week and each and every week. So by the end of the month, you would have gotten to all 100. All 100% of your parents, right? So let's do that. That's one. The second thing is this: let's give some praise, specific praise to each child throughout the month. So 25% contact, at least 25% praise for each and every week. So by the end of the month, you would have specifically praised at least one child, every child, at least one time. So those are the 2.
Really good, really simple too. We can all take that down and write that in our calendars, block out some time to get that done. I'm looking at the calendar right now. We're at the end of October. If you're in the US, that means you're getting this done before Thanksgiving, which is a perfect challenge. This is okay from right now until we all head on Thanksgiving break, whatever that looks like, depending on where you're located. that will allow you to say, okay, I'm going to take on this challenge and see where I get. And the reality is that even if you only get 75% of the way through, it's farther than you had before.
That's right.
Right? I mean, truly, if you're looking at your days and your weeks and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't take on that challenge. I have this hurdle and I'm out of school this whole week. And then I have a student that was quarantined and I didn't get to see him for 14 days. And I wasn't able to accomplish my challenge. Guys, take a second. If you took on this challenge and even did half, you'd be in a better boat.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. You're absolutely right. So don't be like, oh, I can't do it. No. Love it. Be where you are, celebrate where you are, and then hey, we can start the next month.
I love this challenge. So important. Those two things go together very, very well. So I love this focus. We are going to transition here into our good news for the day, the holidays for the day. I really love to celebrate, so that's what we're going to get into here, and then we'll be right back. All right, friends, we're into our good news segment. Tell me, do you love a good holiday?
Yes, I do.
Love a good holiday. We like to celebrate, obviously the big ones, but also the ridiculous holidays that people make up. And it's always fun to be able to see what our holidays look like for the day. So we have a few holidays that we'll be celebrating. One, it's Australian National Day. So why not go celebrate our Australia friends? It's also National Chicken Fried Steak Day. Have you ever had a chicken fried steak?
I love chicken. When I ate chicken, I loved it.
Chicken fried steak.
Yes.
We can all go get one of those today for lunch. Super
it's good.
Yes.
With gravy on top.
This one I don't know that I like. I'm gonna need you to sell me on this, or maybe we'll agree. National Mince Meat Day.
I can't help you on that one, Rae.
Yeah, I don't think that's my holiday, to be honest. But maybe in the comments you guys can throw this in, or if you're listening to this after the fact, you can DM me. I don't know that I've had good mince meat. I don't think that. It does say that the recipe is more than 500 years old. So if you are enjoying that delicacy today, congratulations, you're impacting history. You're a part of history. This one is no surprise, although I feel like this is on the wrong day. But today is National Pumpkin Day. I guess I would have that was later.
Exactly. Oh wow. I didn't know that. I've learned some new things today.
I love it. The last thing, which is obviously the most important holiday of today, and I really want to encourage our Teach Better family to celebrate this. This is a perfect activity to do with your middle school students, elementary students. I'm not sure you can get a high school student to do this, but I'm going to challenge it anyway. It is, I'm sure, your favorite holiday, Worldwide Howl at the Moon Night.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. Speaking of howling at the moon, we have a good news story today that does have to do with pets and dogs. You guys know me. I love a good puppy story. And so we're folding that in to brighten our day as we kind of close out our daily drop-in show here. I saw this one. This was in People magazine. I'm not sure if you heard the story, but I thought it was cute. So we can kind of dive into this, and then we'll also discuss how maybe you can bring this into your classroom. But the title here says, Bear the Hero Dog who saved koalas from Australia's wildfire was honored with an award. So Bear, who is a 6-year-old Australian puppy, found and helped save over 100 injured koalas that were caught in the wildfires that they were experiencing earlier in 2020. And so they came together after this whole experience almost over a year ago and actually gave the puppy an incredible award that they were able to be such a big help, really truly be a monumental part of saving the animals in the wildfire. So as you think through this story, I would love to hear your thoughts. How do you bring this into the classroom? What are kind of some topics we can focus on? Maybe with your history focus, you're gonna come up with a different idea than me.
Well, I definitely, I'm a dog person, even though I don't have any. I'm a dog person, raised dogs and things of that nature. And then also I knew about the story. I knew not about Bear in particular, but the whole wildfire and the koalas suffering through that wildfire. So yes, I definitely knew about the story. But let's think about how we can incorporate that. One, caring.
Ooh.
We can definitely bring caring into our classroom, caring for one another, caring for others that don't look like you or who are not you. Those are things that we can definitely bring into our classroom,
Mm.
be it in the checking in on our students, like we're talking about. Your theme is supporting, making sure we do self-check and supporting our students. Well, how are we, the adult as well as other students, checking in on other students and on each other? That's what we could definitely do in our classrooms each and every day, even if you're online and you're doing some hybrid or something along that line, for whatever the case may be. You can literally do that as your sponge. What is your daily check-in? Is it a
Mm.
smiley face, a sad face, or what have you? And with that in mind, you can then operationalize whatever the results are. If the child is a sad face, how are you going to circle back to that child and address and try to build that child up and find out what's going on? Or maybe that's a counselor referral. Maybe we can get the counselor involved in order to address that. But that's how we can definitely involve caring and saving the koalas in our daily class routine.
Well, and we've talked about this before on the show, and I know when Jed Dearberry was live with us, he kind of alluded to this as well. But we were talking about how sometimes it's easier to talk about challenging concepts when you're just doing it with an animal first, right? That's a very common practice in the elementary classrooms. This is an article. It's a real article in People Magazine. You can pull it up. You're probably going to have some sort of connection, a better connection with a middle school, high school child. And as you're looking at this, you can talk about caring in the sense of these animals, and then how can you then foster that discussion to be human to human and everything in between. I also think there's some science element here. You could discuss wildfires, you could
That's
discuss
right.
the incredible organizations that keep our world safe by combating these wildfires. We could discuss firefighters as a profession here. We could talk about geography for where Australia is on a map. I mean, there's some opportunities here to really dissect this article and look at, an incredible, positive, heroic story that then can also foster hopefully some deep discussion in the classroom. So
Absolutely. And the reading comprehension, reading and literacy, period, being able to do that is wonderful. Identifying main ideas in it, and then the supporting details that go along with it. So those are definitely skills that we can learn and teach in our class, middle school, definitely.
very, very cool. As we wrap up our show today, I'd love to make sure our network can connect with you. I know that I was joking with our community that we're bringing on a bunch of new faces this week, and we're doing that with the intention is because we know we want to bring more and more voices to the Teach Better family so we can continue to grow our network, continue to foster different resources and bring different resources into our world to better support our students. So I'd love if you don't mind kind of giving us where can they connect with you, where can they connect with your team, kind of all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Rae, and the Teach Better family. Really do appreciate it. You can reach us at goteachersintouch.com. That is goteachersintouch.com. Also, you can reach us at Teachers in Touch on Facebook and Teachers in Touch 1. So on Instagram as well. So you can find us there. And on LinkedIn, we're Innovative School Tools on LinkedIn. So we're definitely there and everywhere. So we look forward to engaging with you and helping in any kind of way. That's our whole goal, is just to help without the burnout. That's the key, because without you teachers, without the educators, where would our society be? And we want to make sure we are supporting you in the Herculean effort that you're dealing with each and every day. And we appreciate you and thank you.
Oh, it was so fun being able to chat with you. I so appreciate you getting up bright and early to join the Daily Drop-In. For our Teach Better family, please remember today is Tuesday, October 26th. It's going to be the best Tuesday you've ever had.
Yes.
And it's in store for you. So you got to get ready. You got to get moving. And you got to go enjoy the incredible day that's going to be ahead of you. Don't forget also that we have our administrator mastermind twice today because it's Tuesday. So if you haven't registered for that, you can DM me and I'll get you the link. Otherwise, you can go register at teachbetter.com/admin mastermind. Or actually, I think the actual link, I apologize, is teachbetter.com/mastermind. So let us know if you have any questions about that. Also, we'll be back tomorrow morning for a daily drop-in bright and early at 7 a.m. Eastern. We have brain break tomorrow, which is going to be full of shenanigans. And then, dun, 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 the big reveal. The big reveal is happening on Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern. We'll be streaming just like we are now to release the details of the Teach Better 2022 conference. Yes. And we cannot wait. Date, location, registration. It's going to be the whole kit caboodle. We can't wait. So as you continue to get moving throughout your day, please let us know. If you need anything, I'm thrilled that we were able to add a new friend to our professional learning network. And of course, as always, we hope that you guys enjoy your last few sips of coffee as you head into your day. So thanks so much, guys. We'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye.